We're all back from remote this week. You know what that means? No damn pants. Run It Back starts now.
Run it up, then run it back. Yeah. Run it up, then run it back. Run it back. Run it up, run it back. Yeah. Run it up.
Good Monday morning, the Monday after a long weekend of playoff basketball. But Chandler, how was Vegas before we started?
Didn't win. We did not win, but we definitely had the most fun.
Okay, so you were in the Justin Timberlake golf tournament and you had the most fun.
It was a good time. I think we got like third place, but we put our best effort and came up a little bit short.
That's all right, buddy. I'm sure you represented very well. Eddie G on the end there and Stadium Insider Shams Charania sort of in the middle. And we're going to talk some playoff basketball, and there was a lot of it. And we're going to start here where I am in San Francisco, a game that was very loud and very cool to be at. Warriors squeezed this one out at the last second because the final play, so much was going on, including Draymond on defense, Harrison Barnes with the final shot. We'll get to Steph Curry in a second, Chandler. But your thoughts on the way this game ultimately played out?
I mean, the Kings ultimately got what they wanted here. I think Draymond Green, this is great help if they wanted to take the ball out of Fox's hands, who had a fantastic game. But on the flip side, Harrison Barnes got a wide open look that they would take every single time. And, this shot goes in. This series is pretty much over going back to Sacramento. So it worked out for Golden State, but that was a little bit of a gamble for Draymond there, but that's what he does. It's who he is. He's a very, very smart defensive player, and Fox had it going on. So obviously they didn't want him to beat them, but like I said, on the flip side, they can't ask for a better look. So the Kings got to be happy with that. And I think Harrison Barnes would just love that shot over again next game and knock it down.
Yeah, it's the shot. I guess a better shot would have been Clutch Player of the Year, De'Aaron Fox.
Sure.
Doing something. I actually hate when they call over the screen. You're bringing a second defender. You're making life harder on yourself. Wish you would have just attacked Draymond off the dribble from the beginning. But look, plenty of time. They funneled him. They got a good shot. There's nothing more you can ask for. The only thing else you can ask for is to make it. I thought Harrison Barnes had a great philosophy on it after the game. It's like, hey, I've been down way worse than this. But this is monumental for the Kings. You can't lose both of those games. You really shouldn't have lost the game without Draymond. But then you had this game. You had this game about 5-6 times in those last 3 minutes, and it was turnover, miss, turnover, and then this final miss. It was tough, and especially the way Stephen Curry handed you the game. You got to win that game, and they just did not.
Yeah, that was just some confusion in the building, which, again, we will get to, but we want to hear from Draymond first on his reaction to that very final play from Sacramento.
What are you thinking when the ball gets swung to Barnes and he rises up 3 for the win?
You got to make that. It is what it is. We know Fox can make a shot. He won Clutch Player of the Year. So what I'm not doing is giving him an ISO with anyone and just watching him work and living with that. We're not going to live with that. We know that. You got to make somebody else beat you. If he hit it, great shot. He didn't. And, whether he hit it or not, it's the right thing to make someone else beat you.
Fair enough, Chandler. Do you like everything he said?
Yeah, again, it was dicey. He just admitted it. Basically, he wanted the ball out of Fox's hands. Harrison struggled all game long from the field. I think he was 3 for 10 or 3 for 11 and 1 for 6 from 3. So that's the one guy on the floor that they were willing to give it up. But on the Kings side, that's a guy also that's knocked him down all year long and has had a great year shooting the ball. So I don't think you can look to just this one play. Obviously, there was a lot of plays leading up to how we got here, but this play is obviously magnified just because of the timing of the game. But again, that's a risk they were clearly willing to take, and I do think Harrison Barnes is going to knock that shot down next time if he gets it again.
Yeah, look, everyone in the building's thinking Fox is going to get it. So obviously, Harrison Barnes did. Here he is on the potential game winner afterwards.
You miss a potential game-winning shot, that it's going to stick with you for a while. I get the sense it's already gone from your mindset. Is that fair?
After you learn to put yourself together after 2016, I think, one shot is not going to necessarily phase you. So, for me, it's all about trusting the process. Like I said, we got a good look. We missed it. But at the end of the day, I think the way that we're playing, the way that we're in the series right now, we just have to continue to just do that.
The vet in the locker room, Eddie, what'd you think about what he had to say?
I thought it was a great philosophy to have, and I think he's right. The way he was cast off after 2016, and obviously when they get Kevin Durant that summer, people forgot he was a lottery pick. People forgot he was once the best high school player in the country, and it was just this major prospect coming out of college. So, yeah, I mean, he has a ton of talent, and he's been through it all in this league. So, of course, he's looking at that and saying, hey, I could have made it, but we move on. And look, they have a 3-game series now. They have home court for those, and a potential Game 7 will be at home. So they got to feel good. But you gotta think in the back of their head. They know they missed an opportunity yesterday. But credit to Draymond. It was great help defense. Steph did a good job funneling him, not letting him go middle all the way. He did push him to his left hand, but it is what it is. It worked. Draymond was right there. There was a ton of things they could have done better, but it's a decent shot for a chance to win the game. The Warriors had the same thing in Game 1, and they missed. And here we are. I mean, this series is about as even as it feels. And again, 3-game sprint now, back to Sacramento. But the Warriors, they look motivated and they look confident, and that's not what the Kings wanted as you look to wrap up this series.
Yeah, this series and the Knicks series, those to me are what's going on right now. But Draymond, of course, did not start yesterday. He came off the bench, dare I say, in person to a hero's welcome, Shams. It was deafening in that building when he did come off the bench. How did we get there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 prongs with this. One, I think for sure Draymond Green going to Steve Kerr and coming with the idea and really being open to coming off the bench. He saw Game 3, the way that their offense was so fluid with Jordan Poole starting. Draymond Green recognized that as a leader and understood this spot for him, if he was going to come back, when he was going to come back, it was better for him to come off the bench. And so I think it was part that and also part the team. The Warriors recognizing we're better starting off Game 4 with Draymond off the bench and Jordan Poole starting. So you saw him come off the bench, but then he came right back in the second half, took his starting spot because they needed size. They were getting out rebounded in the first half. And I think that's the value of Draymond Green, is defensively being able to put him on Malik Monk's, De'Aaron Fox. They lacked having that extra defender besides Andrew Wiggins to play on those 2 guys, quicker guys, guards. And to me, Steph Curry as well. Back-to-back games with 30 points or more. Both are wins. He had the snafu with the timeout, the Chris Webber moment at the end. But I think overall, the way he shot the ball, kept the team in the game. When you saw the Kings start to, I think, get control of the game in the second half, Steph made a couple big threes, and I think that went a long way in them getting the win.
Yeah, him making those threes is it's a beautiful thing. But there was the moment you mentioned there, the Chris Webber moment. It was right after saying, man, it's tough right now because the Kings don't have the kind of experience the Warriors do. And then this happens. Steph Curry with a timeout call that did not exist. Chandler, what'd you think about it?
I mean, this is very uncharacteristic, and especially because in a timeout in a situation like this, you have about 7 coaches that are yelling every play how many timeouts you have. So this is just kind of weird that he was unaware of this. But I also want to touch on the Draymond Green off the bench thing. I think this is huge because, number one, we don't know if he actually went to the coaching staff. Maybe that was just the publicity of making him look good by saying that, or maybe he's that unselfish that he saw something in Game 3 and brought that to the table. But a player like him, it doesn't change the way he plays, right? He's still going to go out there. He's still going to defend. He's still going to do his thing. He's still going to be in at the end of the game. And I think a lot of young players don't realize starting is ego for the most part. And as you get older, eventually you're not always going to be a starter. And you have to understand that, would you rather start the games or would you rather finish the games? In a game like this, you want to be on the floor at the end of the game. So I think they found something here with Draymond. I think this is kind of going to become who he is for the rest of his career, depending on if he stays with the Warriors or not. But again, that's very unselfish. If he really went to that, to Steve Kerr's office and kind of approached him after seeing what he saw in Game 3, but now it's coming down to Game 5, and like Eddie said, it's a 3-game series, and I think whoever wins Game 5, I think it's a wrap. I think the Warriors, we know how bad they are, how bad they are on the road. I think the Kings still have the advantage, but this series is my favorite series by far.
Yeah, this series is fun. By the way, that timeout snafu was a 5-point game, and it quickly became a 1-point game. Malik Monk, huge free throw. It was so weird in there. Do you have confidence, Eddie, in this Warriors team? I mean, we know their road woes during this entire regular season. What are you thinking?
I do, and I think they played well in Sacramento. I mean, they lost Game 1. They had 2 shots to win that game. They had a shot to send it to overtime and another shot to win it. They've looked like they figured out some of the stuff that the Kings are doing and Kings are trying to do. I mean, Domas Sabonis, his minutes last night were so frustrating. And the way they're not running high pick and roll with him because there's ways around that, and they'll switch on the way up there so it doesn't be there. But they're running all their pin downs through him because they know he won't jump out on a shooter, and they're running them with Kevon Looney. So you got guys like Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox. They're running into Kevon Looney screens. It was actually a pretty controversial one late in the game, which is actually why the Warriors did not have that timeout to call, because they challenged it, which was weird. Like, it's a strange call to challenge. But anyway, point being, the Warriors aren't guarding Domas Sabonis, and they're running everything at him, and he is an absolute issue. Alex Len, look, I know Alex Len is limited, but he's got the biggest plus-minus on the team throughout these 4 games, and Domas Sabonis has the worst plus-minus on the team throughout 4 games. That's not just a loose number. You can see that on the court. They can run a functional defense. He can finish in the paint. They can't just bully him in the paint. He can actually raise up and dunk on Kevon or Draymond. There are some issues, and the Warriors are attacking them over and over and over. It's not like he can close out on Klay Thompson, so they're in a bad spot with that. The Warriors are confident, and they should be, and I'm confident in them as well. I tweeted last night, I think last night was the series. I think they got it from here.
Really? Look, Sabonis, every time Sabonis touched the ball, he was booed. And I would just like to point out, he did not stomp his own chest. So I'm a little bit confused as to why we're doing all that. And it was a rough crowd in there. And that's weird that both of you guys seem to think the Warriors, look, even the odds are saying that the Warriors are the favorite to win the series, but the Kings, they lose by 1 in a very hostile environment. They get to go home now. Why are we so confident in the Warriors? What do the Kings have to do?
Oh, because in a series when you're down 2 games and then you completely just go and just flip the series, the confidence, everything, momentum is on you. And the Kings had one job. They had win one of these 2 games, and they didn't. And then that was the series right there. They can easily just go and win game 5 and it shifts back. This happens all the time where it's all about momentum in these series, all about who stays healthy. And right now, going into this game, the Warriors are confident. Now we can see if they can end up playing good on the road, because they haven't done that very often. And like I said, as soon as Sacramento wins this game, I do think that whoever wins this game, that's who wins. I'm not necessarily picking the Warriors or the Kings, but I think game 5 is a tell-all. And I think the Kings still do, after losing 2, have that advantage at home, just how much better they are. That place, we thought it was going to be insane game 1. It's going to be nuts in game 5. So I do think this is now, it's the best series. It's the most competitive. I think everybody wrote off the Warriors after going down 2-0. And now they're right back in there. Now everyone's talking about how confident and how they have the advantage. So it's awesome. But I got whoever wins game 5 taking it all.
All right, Chandler has game 5. Eddie has Warriors. Shams and I are neutral because we're professional journalists, and we're going to keep it that way. Cavs Knicks, the other series, despite it being a 3-1 lead right now, it's a fun series to watch. Knicks beating the Cavs 102-93. Brunson, New York's sweet star with 29-6-6. RJ Barrett with a good game. Josh Hart is just fun. This is simple. Eddie, I'm going to start with you. Is Jalen Brunson the best player on that court?
He's looking like it, and I'm wondering how far up the list Josh Hart is as well. I mean, I know he just lost a 3-point contest to JJ Redick's kid, but he's absolutely integral for what they do. But yeah, Jalen Brunson, his command of the game, and credit to the guy we're looking at right now too, RJ Barrett. Rough start to the series. They stuck with him. And this is a guy who got benched, not even a month ago, just because Tibbs is like that. And if you're not up to par, he'll hold you back. I don't care where you were picked by this team, it doesn't matter. But Jalen Brunson, it's just the way it's tough because it looked like Darius Garland had figured out how to guard him a little bit and was giving him a lot of trouble in the first half. But if he's hitting his threes, there's nothing you can do. And he's mastered the art of driving even at that size, taking on contact, avoiding the bigs, finishing amongst the trees. He's such a fun player to watch. Looking back, it's really unfortunate that he didn't make the All-Star game. And, point of contention last night, and something that Jeff Van Gundy continued to mention, they went down the stretch without Julius Randle, and they look just fine. So I think this is Jalen Brunson's team, and rightfully so, and he's been incredible.
Can someone decode Jalen Brunson's celebration with his hand?
Nope. Don't worry about it.
Chandler has the ability.
He told us not to worry about it, Shams.
Someone needs to decode it. I think when you look at the Knicks, though, they have so many good two-way players. I mean, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, we all know about. But I think that, to me, is separating these two teams. When you look at Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, that was the worry with that Cleveland team, is just having two guys at 6'2", 6'1" in your backcourt, not having the size in the backcourt where you're looking at, yes, Jalen Brunson's that same size, but then you have RJ Barrett, being that, 6'8", 6'9" two guard that they're basically playing with. So I think size is definitely a big thing. And Donovan Mitchell, at the end of the day, 5 of 18, that's not going to get it done. We had high expectations on Donovan Mitchell going into this series, and so we'll see if he's going to be able to turn around in Game 4.
Yeah, he's been non-existent, Chandler. Like that was a bad game for Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, it's just it's more impressive what the Knicks are doing, especially Eddie touched on a little bit. Julius Randle didn't give him much, but how good Jalen Brunson's been, how good Josh Hart. He's kind of, to me, been the MVP of the series. Just all the little things, how he's playing defense. He is getting so much love this series, and that was one of the best pickups that they could have got, because he just fits well. He's one of those players where he doesn't need the ball, he doesn't need play calls. He just goes out there and he knows his role and he gets well. But this is on Donovan Mitchell. He's supposed to be the best player in this series. Eddie picked him to lead the playoffs in scoring. That ain't happening, Eddie. But like Shams said, they got size. They got Barrett. They got Toppin. They got smaller guys that are pressuring him. And he's also just missing a lot of the looks too. So, yeah, so the Knicks have the depth. They have the bodies. They have the roster to guard these guys defensively. On the flip side, they've shown some signs that they can do it. But this is an offensive team that's struggling defensively that looks like they're the more inexperienced team. So kudos to the Knicks, but the Garden is rocking, and this is, again, if the Warriors and Kings is the most competitive series, this is another great series that's right there, because it is action packed.
Yeah, the Garden yesterday looked fun. Like if you could be anywhere in basketball, that might have been the other place that I would want to be. Is it the best home court advantage in sports, Eddie? Haha.
Whew, I mean, I don't know. Trae Young just did what he did to them a while back. So if I'm talking about it in sports, I'm thinking of stuff like Green Bay and it being frozen. I'm thinking about weather situations. But in the NBA, it's fun. And I hate when people say this, and it's so cliche, but when the Knicks are good, it's better for the NBA. When that crowd is rocking like that, when we get to see all the celebrities, when Spike is having his moment, and Pete Davidson, who people love for some reason, like they're showing him 20 times during the game. Point being, when the Garden is rocking like that, it's a better show for the NBA. I had fun watching it. Like I kind of was upset I didn't go, but it's I don't know if it's the best home court advantage in the league. I mean, they're going to lose some home games in the next series.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, if there's a game 6, that would be a fun one to be at. By the way, this is just one round. This is the first round, but you would not know it if you were on 7th Avenue following this game yesterday. I am in love with all of the footage from 7th. Are you kidding me? This is crazy.
I love that they're screaming at KD too. Like, I know you want to terminate. Meanwhile, he's up 3-1 as well, just doing just fine in Phoenix. But this is what Eddie's talking about. Like, look at the place. This is rocking. This looks like a college town. Like, these dudes are drunk. These dudes are loud. They cannot wait to whoever they play next round. And you know what? Just the fact that they could win and survive this series, that's a huge win for the city, for the Garden, for all these fans. They get to go to another series against a really good team coming up if they do pull this off. But it is cliche, but man, when the Garden's rocking and Knicks are good, it is great for basketball.
It is.
Yeah, like if you're not familiar with New York City, if you're not out here, if you don't never been here too much, that's 4 p.m. on 33rd and 7th. That's a massive issue for the city of New York, but a good one. I love it. It's amazing, and they deserve it. Look, a lot of us picked the Cavs to kind of just walk through this series, and so for the Knicks to turn this gear on defensively and to have their new star in Jalen Brunson, it's worth celebrating. So enjoy it. You might be going to Miami in the next series. I don't know what's going on out there.
I was gonna say I don't know where to put my money on that one. Yeah, but at least it was a Sunday afternoon, Eddie. So they had a little bit of they got a little bit of leeway on that one. What are the chances we're giving the Cavs to win 3 consecutive games, Chandler?
Not very high, honestly. They're showing their weakness. Like I said, they look inexperienced. They don't defend very well, and it's just proven that the Knicks, this is a tough matchup for them. And when you go down 3-1, especially as a young team like this, they're confident in the shot, and now they're in the same kind of situation as the Kings, but they're playing 3 elimination games, and they have a chance to flip it, kind of get back to the Garden. But the way the Knicks are playing, the way Jalen's rolling, if RJ Barrett can continue to do that, they can get a little bit more from Julius Randle. I see the Knicks closing this out, which is no surprise because we all, I think, picked the Cavs to win this series, and that's what we do. So it makes perfect sense.
I didn't. I did not pick the Cavs to win.
If you picked the Knicks, you didn't pick the Knicks.
Yeah, but I'm picking with my heart, so that wasn't even a like.
We're professional journalists, Michelle. I don't think we picked.
Oh, that's right, Shams. Thank you so much. But if I had picked, okay, this is weird because that series is 3-1 and it feels very exciting and what's going on. This one's 3-1 as well, and it just doesn't have the same zhuzh. Celtics Hawks game 4, they take a 3-1 series lead, 129-121. I mean, it was closer. Tatum finished with 31. Jaylen Brown finished with 31. As far as teams being feared in the East, correct me if I'm wrong here, Chandler, but it feels like the Celtics have taken that spot.
I mean, they look great. There's a team, Philadelphia, that's already resting and on ice that look pretty good as well. But this team is deep and this team defends. This team has 2 stars that can go off for 40 points whenever they want. Jaylen Brown took off the mask last night and literally didn't miss. I don't know if that was superstition or what happened there, but he was a whole new player once he took that face mask off. But you're right. This is a 3-1 series and same thing with Minnesota and Denver, and it just doesn't have the same punch as the Knicks and Hawks or the other series. It's not as fun. This series to me is kind of a snooze fest, to be honest with you. I don't think the Hawks have a chance. I think this is over in the next game, but the Celtics look good, and they've always had the defense. They've always had the DNA. They have the roster to switch everything. They have length. They have size. And their stars are showing up. So they definitely look like a championship contending team.
They look kind of
crazy. Jaylen Brown told me. Yeah, Jaylen Brown told me a few weeks ago that his mom basically wanted him to keep his mask on. So unfortunately, his mom was not able to get his wish. He takes his mask off, and Chandler, 11 of 15 in the second half of the game. Once he got that mask off, I was so impressed by both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They both scored 31 points. They scored the last 16 points for the Celtics. This is a team that's clearly on the other end of whatever rut they might have had in the second half of the season. And I do think right now you have to look at it. Milwaukee, Giannis' status is up in the air for tonight. We'll see if he plays or not. But he's been banged up. Milwaukee as a team has been up and down so far in these playoffs. They're down 2-1. Yes, Philly's rested. They're going to be good. And I think Joel's going to be fine for game 1. But this Boston team has all the ingredients. Robert Williams, first Celtic player to have 10 points, 15 rebounds off the bench since Bill Walton. So this team is playing at a really high level right now.
Yeah, they are, and they look kind of bored. Like they're over this series already. They dropped the game. I know they're annoyed they dropped the game, but they're almost just going through the motions. They're so good, so much better than the Hawks. It's fine, but their offense is pretty simple, and they're getting their stuff off one-on-one, and they know they're better than that team. That Philly series, though, I expect them to be locked in for that and ready to prove a point because, we debated it all year, and everybody else debated it all year. Who is better between these two teams? I think Boston strongly believes it's them. As a matter of fact, I know that. I've heard it from multiple people over there. They strongly believe it's them, and they got a point to prove. Hopefully, like Shams said, Joel is good and he's healthy, and we get the full versions of both teams because I cannot wait for that series.
I just want to address one thing that happened at the end of this game. DeJounte Murray, there was a little bit of contact with an official. What do we expect happens here? Is it a suspension? Is it a fine? Chandler, what happens?
It's tough. Obviously, it's nothing major here, but there's definitely contact, and I would not be surprised if the NBA did take action. It would just, be the cherry on top for this series, just to knock off one of their best players in an elimination game. But you can't do this. You're an older player. You're experienced. You're so important to your team. I know. Frustration is at an all-time high, but you can't do this. You definitely can't make contact, and he's definitely going to get fined for the series and for the Hawks to make it a competitive game. I hope they don't suspend him, but with Draymond, the suspension, they have to kind of keep it balanced, keep it fair. I think he gets suspended here. You can't do this.
Ooh. That's stupid.
I know DeJounte just had a new baby. I think his season's over, and then go enjoy being a dad and then take time off, healthy sum of money to some charity of the NBA's choice. You can't do that. You just can't. I don't know what his beef was. I was shocked that nothing happened in the moment. The ref actually kind of took it pretty well, but the game was over. There's no more text to give out.
Right.
But you just can't do that. So he's probably going to be suspended. And without him, they had no chance anyway. But without him, they really have no chance.
Yeah, probably not a good look for you. Nuggets Wolves. Could have been over. Probably should have been over, but it's not.
Man.
Anthony Edwards took things personally. He said avoiding the sweep was personal. He finished with 34, 6, and 5. This is an overtime game. Look, I don't know what Denver's doing here, but Chandler, as far as avoiding a sweep, is that considered a success story for this Minnesota team?
A success? No. A little bit of dignity and respect. Yeah.
Dignity's good.
If Boston looks bored in that series, then literally Denver is fast asleep, because this series is not very exciting. This series is not even fun to watch. I don't even know if I'm going to watch Game 5 because it's going to be bad. It's bad. I respect Anthony Edwards. This kid is an absolute star. You could tell he took an ownership. He wanted that shot, and he absolutely yanked whoever was guarding him back and hit the big three. They tried to blow this game. The best part about this game, to be on watching, was they're up 7 with like a minute to go. They call a timeout, and there's fans waving by. And then I come back from the restroom, and it's literally a 1-point game. 30 seconds later, they tried to give this game up, but yeah, this Anthony Towns. Can you stay out of foul trouble too? I know you're guarding Jokic sometimes, but like they need him on the floor. But yeah, this series is pretty much over.
Isn't that the kind of quote you want to see from Karl Anthony Towns? By the way, that Anthony Edwards quote. Wouldn't you rather see Cat saying stuff like that? But go on. I digress.
I love Anthony Edwards, and I don't love Karl Anthony Towns, and they're gonna have to really decide like what direction they go with this team. You hate to give up a talent like Karl Anthony Towns, but if you can add some depth to your team and really go down with Anthony Edwards, you got to consider. You got to think about it. It's the summer to really think about it. But going back to this game, 12-0 run to finish the game for the Nuggets, the last 52 of the game. That's disgusting. That cannot happen. These guys took like shots early in the clock too. Like they're giving the Nuggets opportunities to win this game for some reason. The Nuggets actually had a chance to win the game. Jokic, some people's MVP, missed a big free throw down the stretch. But it's an interesting series in the sense that you get a glimpse of what the Nuggets want to do in the playoffs. And Jokic has not turned on the scoring gear yet until last night. And when he's drilling threes, there's nothing you can do with him. But you get a sense of how teams are going to try to guard them. And it seemed like yesterday they were funneling him one-on-one with Rudy. They wanted to see him score. They wanted to not have those shooters get hot. And it basically worked. But Anthony Edwards, he's sensational on both ends of the court. He's big blocks. He's guarding the best player. That snatchback, Chandler, do you have that in your bag? I don't think I've ever in my best day had that in my bag. To do that to do that to Aaron Gordon with the money on the line, that's disgusting. So I'm just happy for him. My tagline with Anthony Edwards is always the league is in good hands. And he didn't get the sweep. So I guess it's a success.
He is their future, by the way. I don't care, Towns, Gobert, whoever.
Yeah.
That dude is going nowhere. And if he does, they're fools.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Anderson said it after the incident with Rudy Gobert. Like, this team is going to have decisions to make in the summer, but one of those decisions is not going to be what do you do with Anthony Edwards. He's going to be extension eligible. He's a max contract player, clearly. And I think when you look at this team, you have to love the ascension of Anthony Edwards, because this is a period of a moment where the Timberwolves really would be kind of lost in terms of direction if it were not for the rise of Anthony Edwards and just how much he's emerged as a superstar player already. He's the second player in NBA history to have five games of 30-plus points or more behind LeBron James. So he's already in good company. Eddie's been saying the league's in good hands, and I think that's definitely accurate when you watch Anthony Edwards play.
All right, Chandler.
21 years old.
21. That's like, yeah, he's going to be fine. Denver, favorite coming out of the West. Chandler, do you see this happening, or has anything changed?
No, I think they lose next round to Phoenix, and I think explosive offensively. I think Jokic is going to obviously create a bunch of problems for them. I think Ayton's going to have his hands full. They better get like Jock and Biyombo. They better get ready because they're going to have their time on him. But no, I think that the Nuggets are one of the worst defensive teams, and the Suns are one of the better offensive teams. I don't know how they're going to stop KD. I don't know how they're going to stop Devin Booker. I don't know how they're going to stop Chris Paul in that pick and roll when they bring Jokic in it. So obviously we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but I think they've been the most consistent team all year long, but that doesn't make them the best team. And I think the Suns beat them in the next round.
All right, fair enough. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, Shams with some updates on Giannis and Embiid. And are the Bucks in trouble after all of that? Find out next.
Run it up, the running back.
We are back for some Shams Scoops time. We also want to preview a couple of games, Shams. So talk to me about Joel Embiid. What's the latest?
So he missed their last game. They swept the Brooklyn Nets, and there is optimism that he'll be able to play in game 1 of their next series against Boston, I assume, or Atlanta. We'll see if they're able to make it through and come back. But he had a sprained knee, and I think they believe this is about a 1-week injury. And so, assuming the playoffs start next weekend, this upcoming weekend, the hope is that Joel Embiid will be in the lineup. But yeah, he went down a few times in that Nets game 3, but thankfully it wasn't anything major.
I mean, there's some big names first round of these playoffs with injury issues, Chandler. But as far as advantages earned by sweeping the Nets, how big is that one for Philadelphia?
Well, it's huge for the obvious reasons that their best player is day to day and is dealing with something that's lingering. And every day that goes by, hopefully he's getting more healthy. Their whole team that's banged up is getting more healthy. They're watching more film. They're getting more prepared. So they handle business, and again, they just eliminated any problems with going into a deep series. That they're basically on ice and watching whoever they're going to play next, which is looking like Boston, and they'll be, hopefully Joel will be ready, and that series is going to be a blast.
I mean, we say goodbye to the Brooklyn Nets, Eddie. It was a tumultuous season at the very least. I don't want to say is it a success, but as far as what, if you had to describe this Nets season, what are you giving it?
A restart. That's probably what I'd call it. I wouldn't call it a success. You traded away 2 all-stars, including maybe the best player in basketball. You had an under 500 record after that, and you got swept. That's not successful. That's frustrating. You came into the season with championship hopes, with ideas of adding new pieces in the middle of the season and winning a title. So in that sense, yeah, it's a failure. But I think they have a ton of potential going forward. I think they have something in Mikal Bridges. If he's a number 1 on a contender, I don't know. It wasn't the greatest results, but they have a ton of flexibility. And if they can dupe somebody into taking that Ben Simmons contract, they might have Damian Lillard or Trae Young or someone else to star on that roster next season. But it's highly dependent on that. It doesn't help that Joe Harris couldn't throw a rock in the ocean in that series either, because that's one of the contracts you'd have to trade to go get somebody too. But they have the flexibility, they have the opportunity, they have a ton of picks to work with. So they have something building.
I tried telling Spencer. I told him they had no chance. Finally, I got one right.
Yay, Chandler! And that's at the expense of a friend. What an awful human.
You hate to see it.
You hate to see it. Victor Oladipo, season-ending, Shams. Again, a lot of injuries in this first round. What can you tell us?
This is just devastating because of Victor Oladipo's history. But yes, torn patellar tendon in his left knee. This is an injury that typically carries a 1-year recovery, and he's had 2 surgeries on his other knee, his right knee, for a quad tendon tear that he suffered in 2019. So he has 2 surgeries on his right knee. He's about to have another surgery on his left knee. And so it's just devastating for Victor Oladipo. He's a 2-time All-Star. He's made his way back, and he finally got back in that Heat rotation last game. He played solid in his bench minutes. He was playing garbage time minutes down the stretch of game 3 because the team was up and he was getting a rhythm in. And then he has this injury. Thankfully for him, he's got a player option for next season at over $9 million. But this is just unfortunate. Chandler, you've had a lot of, you've dealt with a lot of leg injuries, but for Victor Oladipo, what does he face going into this offseason?
Yeah, it's about as tough as it gets. Like you just touched on everything that he's been through, and you could see the season he had. He struggled, and that is tough. You tear your quad, you have 2 knee surgeries. Now you're going to the patella. It's tough. It's basically putting you out all next year. Thank God he's got a contract where it guarantees him some money next year, but this is no good. You just hope that he mentally can stay strong. You hope that, the Heat support him and they give him the best treatment during this, but this is a tough blow, man. This is not something a season ending. This could possibly be a career ending when you look at what he's been through already, the age that he's getting at now. This sucks. And someone who went through a lot of knee problems, this is nothing that he could have done about this. It's just a freak play. And I hope he can get through this and get back on the court, because when he is healthy, he's a hell of a player.
If Giannis doesn't return, and we're still waiting on that, right, Eddie? You consider the Heat favorites in this thing?
I mean, they have a chance. They needed Vic, which is the frustrating part. I mean, they've lost Tyler Hero already. They get so-so results from Kyle Lowry each night, and they needed what Vic was providing. He was having a good game. But, I mean, they're up. They're up in the series. They're at home tonight, and this is a veteran squad. This is a squad that knows how to play this team. They've played this team in the playoffs before. They've beat this team in the playoffs before. I do think they're the favorites right now if Giannis doesn't return. If he does, obviously that changes the series. But it's just been a tough week for the Heat to watch their two guys go down like that. And I'm with Chandler. I'm with Chandler. Like, I don't know that he comes back from this. He was already working hard to get back on the court as it was. Had a ton of issues throughout the season. It's unfortunate because it wasn't too long ago Vic was having those great seasons in Orlando and in Indiana, and he was looking like a future superstar in this league, and it's just been a mess ever since that first knee injury.
Yeah, the Heat have a chance to do what the Kings couldn't do last night. That's pretty much in this series right now. Take a commanding lead here and really have it in your favor. And obviously both teams are banged up, but I do think the Heat is an experienced team. I do think that they have that kind of DNA, they have that culture, that they know how big this game is. And if the Bucks happen to tie this thing up tonight, then I think that obviously the momentum shifts to their favor, and I think they win this series. And I do still think they are a better team without Giannis than the Heat are. So they've been arguably the best team all year long.
Right.
Obviously, they're the best team with Giannis, and they're slightly above average without him. So it's tough, but good thing for them is the Heat are just as banged up. Now they just lose Oladipo. So this is a dogfight, and whoever advances in this series, whoever they play next is over there licking their chops, because this is exactly the kind of what that team needed.
Yeah, this is a rough first round here in these NBA playoffs. Shams, thank you so much. We shall see you in the morning. We're taking a quick break. When we come back, all these men, they have families, and it's happened finally. Dylan Brooks, full-fledged villain, next on Run It Back. Some disrespectful moments so far in these playoffs. That man, all the men have families, and we're going to start with Kevin Durant. Just a moment for Mason Plumlee. He's got decisions to make.
This is friendly of you guys to add. It didn't dunk on nobody here.
No, it's more Mason Plumlee just deciding to move.
He made the right decision.
Without the Mace, who's been great.
Yeah. Nothing good was going to come.
I don't know, Chan. I think he could add a real challenge there. This is a skinny guy. I think he could.
You know what though? He's in the hash circle. He's way too low.
Yeah.
If anything, he's gonna either foul him or get banged on. He's smart.
He's smart. He's smart. Moving on. Let's moving on to his next part of that one. Dante DiVincenzo.
This was so cold. I was convinced it was a double dribble, and I still might think it is.
Twitter has decided it's a double dribble. It looked incredible live. Look,
yeah, it's a double dribble.
You can't do that.
But also the finish.
Can't do that, Dante.
The finish, the first of all, the little bang bang. The ref is behind him, and then the right foot, and underhand finger roll floaty.
Hey man, it's in the books. It counts, and it was pretty.
Yeah, it's over. Can't take it back. Sorry. Anthony Edwards, just all of Anthony Edwards. Whatever he did counts.
I just love him with my whole basketball heart. Like, he's just everything I would want a 21-year-old superstar to be. Yeah. Also, Jokic. What is that contest?
You are right though. From the way he plays, he's fun to watch offensively. He plays defense. He's hilarious in interviews. Anthony Edwards for president. He can do.
He can act. He can act legitimately. Like, great in the hustle. Julius Randle. This is generous considering how this game ended for Julius Randle, but we'll enjoy the moment right here. Oh, Jared Allen.
This happens like twice a season, right? It just happens perfect for you. You get a practice dunk. That's great. I like that one.
Yeah, they let him.
He's mad. That's an angry dunk.
Him going left downhill too. I'd love to see it.
I just hope he had
that's like the dunk you do at the end of your workout.
Well, he does another thing. This time on Donovan. Oh, that was a good moment actually. That was really good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's impressive because we know how many bodies Donovan Mitchell has and how bouncy he is.
Big moment in that game, too. They're down 3. Donnie gets that dunk. Who knows if he looks back after that, but that's tough. I didn't think Julius had this in him. That was impressive.
How about LeBron? Yeah, no, I have to say that was impressive. I don't want to say
a little bit. He just kind of gets it in there. Yeah.
Dude, he's
Grab the rim,
107. Like, what do you want, Eddie?
He took off from the dotted line. That's pretty good.
And I want to know if he would do this if it was a tighter game. They are up 20, so it gave him a little leeway, but this is
probably not.
It's still insane for him to be doing this in the beginning of the third quarter in a playoff game.
Well, I think
watching him live at the play-in game, like, he still has a lot of juice left in those legs. It was actually kind of surprising. The only guy who looked a little bit more athletic than him, Anthony Edwards, future of the league.
Good Lord, it's like half of his age. Let's preview Memphis Grizzlies and the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers are up 2-1. I mean, do we expect them to handle the Grizzlies again? Easily?
I think it's going to be a lot closer. I think Dylan Brooks will be better. I think the Grizzlies will be more prepared. They can't play worse than they did the other night. They still had their chances. Obviously, I think the Lakers are the heavy favorite here. They've been pretty good at home so far. But, yeah, I look for the Grizzlies to kind of learn from their mistake last game and get much better in this game. I expect it to be a tight one.
Yeah, I'm expecting a tight game too. I think the Grizzlies know they have to get this. There's no way around it.
Right.
They haven't shot very well in this series so far. They're due, which is, not the greatest analysis ever. But the Lakers are also due to not have Rui Hachimura light them up and Austin Reeves. So I expect a great game. I'm actually waiting for the dominant LeBron game, and I hope that's tonight. I love the chatter the other night. I love the fact and he kind of put him in his place. But I'm waiting for the dominant LeBron game. We might have a 40-piece on the way at some point to humble Dylan Brooks.
Humbling Dylan Brooks is an interesting. I mean, look, he suggested the audacity of this man. He suggested that the media, us, the fans, that we've made him into this villain, not the words that have come out of his face. Chandler, we're not to blame. Like, isn't this what he wanted? Did he deserve to be ejected? Is what is going on?
Yeah, the media has nothing to do with dumb shit that he keeps saying about everybody. And I will say, this to me, I don't think is necessarily on purpose. I didn't
either.
I don't think an ejection was really necessary here. I think all the hoopla that he's created, like Draymond, this is now who he's become. And again, yes, the media has pounced on it. The fans have pounced on it. But this is all self-inflicted. This is all what he wanted. This is all making him more famous. This is getting him more clicks. So at the end of the day, he is a villain, and he created this with how he's been carrying himself. But this ejection, to me, I got to defend him a little bit here. This was weak. It was his body was going that way. He tried to cut him off. Who knows? Maybe it was on purpose. I don't see it. In a playoff game and a critical piece like him, who's one of their better wing defenders, you can't toss him. This wasn't like it was dangerous. He didn't cock his arm back and hit someone in the head when they were in the air. This was weak.
Weirdly enough, it's because it's those two. I mean, you're looking at the screen going, it could have been anyone else. Anyone else.
He got that because of all the commotion he caused before that and the guy he hit. Like, let's be honest. If he could do that on purpose, if he has that timing on his punches, he should have been in the ring on Saturday and not on the court. So it's like he might have been in the wrong sport. But shout out to this Twitter account, Lakers Empire. Of course, Lakers Empire. But it's pretty good lip readers. Fixed the audio just about right. Figured out what LeBron was telling him. LeBron's basically telling him what Chandler just said. You're doing too much, causing too many problems, and I'm about to bust your ass. Like, what are you about to do? And then he finishes off by telling him, make some shots. And Dylan did none of that. He did none of that on Saturday. He's going to need to do that if they want to win some of these games. But I love that LeBron did this. I love that Dylan seemingly got humbled. He put his head down and just listened to the GOAT. But LeBron knew he would have to address this in some way. He told the media, I'm not with all of that, and then went and did all of that. And that's fine. He addressed them man-to-man, face-to-face, and he had a great game. So I'm loving this series, but I think it's over. I think they essentially end it tonight.
Really?
Also, like, this is Dylan Brooks. He's now put this arrow on his back where he's created this. And it's not like he's the type of player like an Anthony Edwards or like one of these star guys that can go and get 40 and dominate a game. So this was hilarious that the Lakers actual broadcast posted this. But again, this is all things that he's brought on himself. He's created this himself, and now he made his bed, and now he's sleeping in it. And it's not going to be cozy with arguably the greatest player of all time coming at your neck every single play because of words that you said. And again, this is all self-inflicted, so it's hard to feel bad for the guy.
No, I don't feel bad. I think this is brilliant brand building. I was disappointed he was silent after the game. That was a little bit of a bummer. Ja Morant, though, in game 3, God, there's still Ja Morant. It's crazy that Dillon Brooks has done such a successful job in this brand building that we forget about Ja Morant. He had 45 points, 13 assists in the 42 minutes he played, including an amazing at the end of the game, just trying to do everything he could. Did he prove anything to you, Chandler? Did he need to?
Well, I mean, he proved that he's probably the best player in this series and that the Lakers have nobody to guard him and that he can dominate and flip this series himself. And for them to advance and for them to get this series back to even, he's got to play like this again. And it does fall on Desmond Bane and Dillon Brooks. These guys have to find a way to be more efficient. They can't keep having these 4 for 16, 4 for 17 games. And Ja Morant is going to have to be a star and put up these kind of numbers for them to have any sort of chance.
Pretty sure this is the moment in the night where I was kind of floating off Tank Davis, humbling Ryan Garcia, and I'm just watching in the corner of my eye, and I'm like, yo, Ja scored again. Ja had 23 a minute ago. Why does he have 33? And I look and he's 45. He scored, I think, 23 straight points. It was ridiculous watching him do that. And I'm with Chandler. The Lakers don't have anything they can do to combat that. I know you could say, hey, it was late. They were up. They turned it down a gear or whatever. But when he's doing that, when he's getting to the rim like that and he's hitting all those threes, 6 of 10 threes for Ja Morant, you can't guard him. You're just going to give up 40 and you need to guard everybody else. I think for the Grizzlies, Desmond Bane needs to be thanking Dillon Brooks for taking all of the heat off his back because he's been an absolute non-factor this series, and they need him. They cannot win without Desmond Bane knocking down some shots, and he hasn't done it yet.
23 straight points. It's unacceptable if you're the rest of the Grizzlies team. Up next, luckily for you guys, the parlay picks are back. We took 2 weeks off to get better. Can you even imagine when Run It Back returns?
Run it back, yeah. Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up.
Experience the NBA playoffs like never before with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join FanDuel today and get $150 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. That means you can bet on the point spread, player props, or any of the other bets FanDuel has to choose from. You'll still get $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Guys, we've had 2 weeks off to just regroup and think about who we are and who we want to be. Let's try an on-the-fly parlay for tonight, shall we? Eddie, you're first.
Yeah, I'm betting on the GOAT tonight, LeBron, to go over 27.5 points. I'm expecting the big game. Beadle, I'm sorry, but Shams Charania just broke some news, and I think you still have time to change your parlay bet if you want, because Giannis is coming back.
Son of a mother. Why? I knew that was going to happen.
You know how
All right,
Shams
that's
is.
fine. I know. Shams he's not my friend. He is not my friend. Chandler, talk to me.
I wish we could all just take Eddie's because 100% is going over that. And he's going to have a point to prove tonight. And he's an experienced player, and he knows that if they win this game, this series is all but over. But I'm going to go the other way. And I think the Grizzlies are going to learn from their mistakes. I think they're going to something out of Desmond Bane. Dillon Brooks is going to be a little more efficient. He's going to be a little better. I think this is a tight game. I hope the Grizzlies still lose and the Lakers go up 3-1, but I hope it's by less than 4.5.
That's hateful. Yeah, so there it is, Shams. Thanks for nothing. Where was this an hour ago? Giannis will return to the line.
I don't know
we
what
kind
that
of
means.
figured, right? We
If you
kind of
like,
figured he'd be back.
I can search the web for
Golly. Well, I have Heat +6, but do with that what you must. We'll see you guys in the morning.
That's tough.
Run it back, run it back, run it up.